Shortly after his return for believers, Jesus will come back with those he took to heaven and will reign as king over the whole earth. The book of Revelation is really confusing, so don't be confused or don't be sad if you don't understand it all. But there are some things that we can see in it. And in Revelation chapter 19, verses 11 through 19, and actually through about Revelation 20 verse 6, we see that Jesus will return to earth, and we know that this is Jesus because he is King of Kings, Lord of Lords. He's faithful and true, and it's the Word of God. According to John 1:14, Jesus is the Word of God. And so he will come back, or he will come and he'll be accompanied by the armies of heaven. Not sure if it will be angels or saints or who it will be, but they'll come back and they'll defeat those who oppose him at the time, which at the time there will be one world leader, and the kings of the earth will submit to that world leader, and they will be against the Christians, against Jesus and righteousness. And in doing this, God's wrath will be justly bestowed. It will be just and fair. God has put up with sin for too long, and he's going to come back and he's just going to wipe out those who are sinful. And he will reign on the earth for 1,000 years. Before that, an angel will come down. In verses 1, 2, and 3 of chapter 20, we see an angel that binds Satan for 1,000 years. He'll be thrown down into a bottomless pit. And so there'll be no Satan roaming around the earth, and Jesus will be reigning, and Christians will be reigning with Jesus. And it won't be a sinless state. There'll still be sin, but with no temptation. There'll be less sin. And so that will happen for 1,000 years. We've seen that Jesus will reign at some point. Even the disciples thought he would reign before he got crucified, but then he got crucified, and after it they thought he would reign, but then he ascended up to heaven. And the angel said that this same Jesus will reign again. And we know that the Lion of the tribe of Judah would reign, as was predicted in the Old Testament, as well as some other prophecies. And then to Mary, it was told that he would reign. And so we know that Jesus is coming again to reign, and we can have comfort in that. Later, following a final attempt to lead a rebellion against God near the end of Jesus' kingdom, Satan will be cast into the lake of fire that God prepared earlier for him. So we had just talked about him being bound for 1,000 years. He'll be bound, and then he'll be set free for a short period of time, and he'll go around and gather people from all around, all corners of the world, and he will gather them together to make one last attack against Jesus Christ, against God, and against the saints. And he will try to do that, and then fire will come down from heaven, and it will send, God will send Satan down to hell as his everlasting punishment. Or it'll be what's described as in Matthew chapter 25, verse 41, when God will say to those on the left hand, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels." So God has prepared an everlasting fire for the devil and his angels. So that was the intention from when Satan enticed Eve in the garden. It was a fire prepared for them. Actually, before, when Satan fell from heaven, God had prepared this everlasting doom for Satan and his angels. And so he will be cast down and stuck there. Isaiah 14, verse 15 also talks about it. It says, "Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit." And it's talking about Satan after he had fallen out of heaven. And there's a connection here between Genesis 3:15, which Genesis 3, the third chapter of the Bible, and Revelation 20 is the third from the end. So before Genesis 3 you had perfection, and then after Genesis 20, or Revelation 20, we'll see that there's perfection. And Satan was in between all those chapters affecting the earth. And Satan will be crushed, as in the prophecy of Genesis 3, chapter 15, or verse 15. And he will be forever tormented in hell.